Look at yourself in the mirror and say, why am I mad that there's peace in the Middle East? Why am I mad that Donald Trump has made an effort to stop the genocide that y'all crying about?
If he does good, if he gets the Israeli hostages out, I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day on the show and say, thank you for doing it. Yeah. She'll knock it right off my head.
How is this not a step in the right direction? How is this not a continuation or the establishment of peace over time? Because more and more every year we see that strong leaders like Donald Trump is coordinating efforts between people of all nations and many Arab nations to negotiate peace. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. We got to talk about Donald Trump, the man of the hour. I think he should win a Nobel Peace Prize. Only people who are anti-Semitic think he shouldn't, in my opinion. And I'm being superfluous just a little bit, but in reality, how would anybody be mad that a peace deal is struck? Why are you mad, though? Let's talk. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, why am I mad that there's peace in the Middle East? Why am I mad that Donald Trump has made an effort to stop the genocide that y'all crying about? If it's a genocide, aren't you excited that the genocide has ended? But you losers, and I'm going to keep railing y'all until the end of time, you losers that have anti-Semitic anti-Semitism running through your vein, you cannot see through your lens of anti-Semitism that there is a good thing that there's peace. These terrorists, Hamas, started it and was getting their heads whooped. And the people that voted for them, unfortunately, was a part of that to a certain degree. And now Donald Trump has called for peace. Listen, family, your information is out there floating around the internet right now. I'm talking your home address, your phone number, even information about your family. All of that personal data is sitting on shady websites being sold by people who don't care about you. That's how scammers pull off identity theft. That's how hackers and stalkers find folk like you. But here's the deal. They can't mess with you if they can't find you. That's why I use Incognito. They go after those data brokers, the ones selling your information, and they get it taken down automatically. And if you spot your information on some random site, Incognito's got you. With their custom removal features, you just point it out and they'll scrub it off the internet. The best part is they don't just do it once, they keep working in the background so your data doesn't pop up again. So stop giving scammers an open door into your life. Protect yourself, take your data back. All you gotta do is hit the link, incognito.com/Tatum, use my code Tatum and get 60% off your annual plan. Let's go to the Donald Trump addressing the Knesset. Roll the clip.
After 2 harrowing years in darkness and captivity, 20 courageous hostages are returning to the glorious embrace of their families, and it is glorious. 28 more precious loved ones are coming home at last to rest in this sacred soil for all of time. And after so many years of unceasing war and endless danger, today the skies are calm, the guns are silent, the sirens are still, and the sun rises on a holy land that is finally at peace, a land and a region that will live, God willing, in peace for all eternity. This is not only the end of a war, this is the end of an age of terror and death and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God. It's the start of a grand concord and lasting harmony for Israel and all the nations of what will soon be a truly magnificent region. I believe that so strongly. This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East.
Now, let's talk about this real quick. If you notice, he said 20 hostages are coming back and 28 of them are being returned. That means 8 of them are dead and they're returning their bodies. These people killed hostages. I don't know why. I said this on Piers Morgan and I almost lost my mind on everybody on the panel because everybody's, tiptoeing around this idea that like Israel didn't owe the Palestinians anything. They decided to elect a terrorist organization. They attacked their people, killing them, taking hostages. Israel didn't have to feed these people. They didn't have to send leaflets. If they wanted to commit a genocide, they wouldn't put leaflets. They'll say, that's a target, boom. That's a target, boom. And a building come down with all the people in it. But yet, they're claiming that there are 70-something buildings or thousands of buildings. I don't know how many buildings that they said that got knocked down. And then there's so many people that got killed. And so that's like one person per building. So that tells you right there that these people had been evacuated. before these facilities were taken down. But and people were mad and saying Donald Trump only went to the Knesset. Look, he's complicit. Let's show the clip of him in Egypt. He went to Egypt too. He gave a speech in Egypt and he signed a peace deal. Exhibit A. Roll it.
Okay. This took 3,000 years to get to this point. Can you believe it? And it's going to hold up, too. It's going to hold up. Okay, thank you. You can use my pen if you want. Have a pen? Want to use mine? Okay. Okay.
Look at the people represented that's sitting behind Donald Trump.
Okay.
You got Macron back there, and his wife somewhere in the crowd. I don't want to bring it up. That's between Candace and them. But anyway, you got all those people represented behind the scenes, signing a peace deal, and the Abrahamic Accords was the beginning of it, and then now we see peace that have been agreed upon by many Arab nations and also Israel. How is this not a step in the right direction? How is this not a continuation or the establishment of peace over time? Because more and more every year we see that strong leaders like Donald Trump is coordinating efforts between people of all nations and many Arab nations to negotiate peace. And the only caveat to this, or the only obstructors of this or obstruction that could happen is if these Palestinians do the same thing again and create a terrorist attack.
My point when I say I'm not going to be apocalyptic, it's not changing a tune. It's not making every single thing a 5-alarm fire. Yeah. If he does good, if he gets the Israeli hostages out, I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day on the show and say, thank you for doing it. Yeah. She'll knock it right off my head. But like you have to be able to cheer for wins when they happen and then call out relentlessly the wrongdoing.
And that's exactly right. Listen, if this peace deal holds, which I pray that it does, it's historic. It is a massive diplomatic achievement. And I think the whole world can breathe a sigh of relief because for many of us, knowing people I met with some of the hostage families and how hard this was for them for the last 2 years. There's not a Jew across the world who didn't feel personally impacted by the events of October 7th. And these 20 that were released, never knowing if they would get that day. There's also the remains of hostages that are going to be repatriated to Israel. And then for the innocent Palestinians who've been caught in the crossfire of this war that Hamas, a terrorist organization, started, they are getting aid. They're promised 600 trucks of food per day are going to be rolling into Gaza. So people who have been starving, who have had no reason that they should have been involved in this conflict are going to get the aid they need. I think everyone should be able to celebrate it. And listen, whether you like Trump or not, I think Steve Witkoff and I think Jared Kushner do deserve credit for this deal. They actually personally met with Hamas. I used to be of the mind we don't negotiate with terrorists, but sometimes the only way to get peace is to sit down with some of the most evil people and try to come up with what we can do to end the bloodshed. So thank God, I pray that this peace holds.
I think we've said it all. It's just, as a faithful person, it has been my daily prayer that there be peace there. And I remain a faithful person that this truly is the dawn of peace in the Middle East. I truly hope that this will be a lasting peace there.
How is this not a step in the right direction? How is this not a continuation or the establishment of peace over time? Because more and more every year we see that strong leaders like Donald Trump is coordinating efforts between people of all nations and many Arab nations to negotiate peace. And the only caveat to this, or the only obstructors of this or obstruction that could happen is if these Palestinians do the same thing again and create a terrorist attack. Israel is not going to go back on this peace deal. They want peace. They were peacefully living in Israel when Gaza struck them. The Hamas people that the Palestinians voted for. It's not like they dropped out of an airplane and came down and took over the land. The Palestinian people voted for them. Let me say this real quick, and I'm gonna continue with a few more clips, and then we have to get to Kyron Lacey here in a minute. But let me talk about this real quick. It is invaluable to understand that, and I was very nice to the Palestinian people, maybe to a fault. We got to be honest about what we're really looking at. The Palestinian people, I would argue about 80% of people in Gaza are not innocent people. They're not innocent people. I'm not saying they deserve to die. I wish none of them died in this conflict. I wish they would just stay where they at and be peaceful like rational people, but they're not. But let's not act as if because Hamas laid down arms or because there's a peace deal signed that there's not vitriolic hate that is festering in these people that have been taught to these young people, and that the adult population aren't propagandized or they are not radicalized. They still, through a peace deal, want Israel to cease to exist. Let's not forget that. And so when Hamas lay their arms down or whatever the case we do here, it's going to happen again, because you cannot live next to these people who would vote for a terrorist organization whose charter is to get rid of Israel. They still think Israel is occupying. It's like the Native Americans still think we're occupying Phoenix. Shut the front door. All right. You lost the war. Take your licks and go home. Let's get to the other portion of it where Benjamin Netanyahu said some incredible things about Donald Trump. And as you put it up on the screen, I want to make this point before he says this. If Donald Trump was run by Israel and Netanyahu, and they were committing an ethnic cleansing or a genocide, then I would argue that Netanyahu would want the war to continue. Because remember, all y'all claim that he wanted the war to continue because he was going to face prosecution and go to prison and spend the rest of his life in jail for war crimes. And that's why he was continuing the war. He signed a peace deal. And if he wanted to commit a genocide, they hadn't done nearly the work that they need to do to commit a genocide. Killing only 60,000 people out of 2 million people is like 3% of the population. A genocide, at least you got to go 50%, 60% of the population. So this to me, it's just debunk all of the rumors and theology that people have concocted saying that they run us. Trump pretty much told you, you're going to come to the table, you're going to sign this peace deal. And I don't think the peace deal is all that Israel wanted and actually need, because they're actually not ensuring that Hamas is eliminated for sure. They're just going to build up their stuff and try to attack Israel again, to be quite honest. But this is what Netanyahu said about Donald Trump. And for people that live in reality and are rational human beings, this is normal behavior. And this is normal gratitude that's genuinely being shown to a president that negotiated peace with the backing of other Arab nations, with the collaboration from Hamas. This is what a person would say in that situation. Roll the clip.
No American president has ever done more for Israel. And as I said in Washington, it ain't even close. It's really not a match. Mr. President, today we welcome you here to thank you for your pivotal leadership in putting forward a proposal that got the backing of almost the entire world. A proposal that brings all our hostages home.
Now imagine this. The people in there skinny, starving, many of them being killed, tortured. They probably raping these people and doing all kind of stuff. You think they're being reasonable? No, because every hostage would have returned alive. But they've killed some of them, and they probably did it in a gruesome way. But they've gotten all the hostages home. I saw videos of these hostages returning back to their families, and I got emotional. Because just imagine being in a dungeon for 2 years, getting mutilated, whatever else they were doing to these people. In a dark room, probably didn't even see the light of day for years. And these people have been returned back to their families. I mean, just put yourself in the shoes. Get out of whether this is Israel or not. But just imagine the feeling of you not knowing if your brother or your son would live, and you have to live with the idea in your mind that they are getting killed and tortured potentially on a day-to-day basis. You know, the health organization or whatever the case may be, they'll show you the kids in the hospital and releasing footage of that, but they won't show you the condition of the hostages. So we never knew what really the condition was. And imagine reuniting with your family after they starve you for 2 years, I mean, this is a pivotal moment. This is something that means a lot to not only me, but to people who live in Israel, that they now have been reunited with their families when they shouldn't have never been kidnapped in the first place. I love watching this because it's honorable. And to be honest, if Israel was the bad guy and Hamas was the good guy and the roles reversed, I'd be excited for them too. I don't have any problem with Palestinians. I mean, I do because the ones in Gaza are evil for the most part. There's probably good ones in there. But I don't have anything outside of that for those people. All I expect them to do would be normal, right? We've seen videos of them just executing people that allegedly work with Israel after the soldiers, evacuated some of the areas. They out here shooting people in the head and executing people. You don't see that happen in Israel, do you? So it's not even close of a comparison between the two nations. And some people saying, oh, they need to have a two-state solution. There's no two-state solution in this ever. They cannot live alongside people that have a vested interest in killing all of them. And I want you to ask yourself this question. If you're still one of those people that's still thinking that there's a comparison between the two, why didn't refugees get accepted into Egypt from Gaza? Why couldn't they go to Jordan from Gaza? They didn't want them because they are a cancer that breeds cancerous terrorism. And hopefully they can be held at bay with military oversight and not allowing them to rebuild the government that's meant to destroy Israel.